Hi, and welcome to this episode of From the Field. I'm Lee Hall. I'm an associate professor of literacy studies at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And today we're going to start talking about how you create digital literacies, how you build them up with your students. And we're going to start by focusing on blogging and how you blog with students. And this is going to be the first in a series of videos about how you blog with students. And in today's video, I'm going to give you sort of a bigger picture perspective, what blogging is and what blogging is not. And then we're going to start getting into, in future videos, the nuts and bolts of how you actually do this. Okay, so I just want to start with this reminder about what digital literacies are. We talked about this in the previous video. This is the ability for students to use digital tools to learn information and to communicate it with other people, right? The idea is that they're going to create knowledge, they're going to share that knowledge digitally, and they're reading and writing inside a digital environment, which is not the same as reading and writing in a non-digital environment. There are some skills that are similar in transfer, but there are skills that are different that they need to learn. And we're going to focus on some of these as they are specific to blogging. Now, why would you consider having your students blog? Because on the surface, it is going to seem like a lot of work. And there is a little bit of extra work that you're going to have to do the very first time you ever have students blog, or if you've been having students blog and have found it to be a complete disaster. I'm going to show you some things that you can do, and once you do this little bit of work and you get everything in place, then subsequent years, subsequent classes are going to fall right into place with very minimal revisions on your part. So kind of maybe a bit of work up front, and then it's pretty much smooth sailing from there on out, and not a lot of adjustments to make class after class or year after year. So why do you want to have students do this anyway? So what students are going to do, in addition to developing the digital literacy skills on the previous screen, they are going to learn how to communicate to an audience. You as a teacher, for most students, the teacher has been their predominant audience, right? I read something, I produce something, give it to the teacher, I get a grade. What blogging does is it expands that audience. Even if the only people that read the blogs are students and parents, that's okay. It still expands the audience, right? And because you're expanding the audience and because lots more people are reading it besides the teacher, students end up getting feedback from a variety of people that otherwise they wouldn't normally hear from. Reading and writing also becomes authentic, which means that students have a purpose to read and communicate text beyond getting a grade. We can still give grades on blogs, and I will be talking to you in a future video how you do that. But what you need to know is that students, typically the research on this is that when students are reading and writing text, be it digitally or non-digitally, but they're doing it for a purpose beyond just getting a grade, they have a bigger audience, they're more likely to improve their reading and writing abilities, all right? So we want to try as much as possible to make authentic experiences for our students, and blogging does that. And then, of course, they're learning how to use digital tools for communication, right? They're thinking about communication, they're learning a particular blogging platform, all right? So they're learning those, developing digital literacies in that capacity. Now, what is it blogging, right? What is blogging not? And I'm giving you a couple of examples here. These are just things that I've had teachers tell me. So I've had teachers say to me, I blog with students, or I've been in classrooms where I see teachers say, hey, tonight I want you to write on your blog. Normally what is happening is teachers are prescribing a set of comprehension questions or some follow-up discussion questions, and students are supposed to go into an online environment, right, an online space, and write a written response. And then typically the teacher might say, I also want you to respond to 1, 2, 3, etc. Things that your classmates post. So that's not blogging, all right? That's just answering comprehension questions or answering discussion questions in an online format, right? You could do that with pencil and paper at home or in school. It's not changing the nature of the task. It's just changing the format that you're having them do it in. So be mindful of that. If you're having students answer comprehension questions online, I'm not here to say that's good or bad. I'm just saying it's not blogging. So what is it then? What does it look like with students? Well, you know what a blog looks like. But what happens in a blog space is that as an author, you get to pick about what you're going to write about, right? You make a decision. Now, that's not to say that it's a free-for-all, right? If I am a science teacher and I'm having my students maintain a class blog, let's say, for my science class, well, we're not going to start blogging about music. Okay, because it doesn't fit the scope and sequence of what the purpose of the blog is and who would be coming there and reading the blog. Now, if we can take a topic related to music and connect it to science, which can be done, then that's great. Then we can talk about music, right? So students in a blog, they get a lot of choice and voice about what gets to be discussed. Any author does, right? You think about what it is that you want to construct a post on, but you understand as a writer what the purpose of your blog is and how your topics have to fit into that purpose, right? And your purpose then feeds your audience. Okay, so you have to keep these things in mind. And it's not that as a teacher you can't assign particular topics or help generate possible ideas for students. You can, but there needs to be space for students to be able to make their own choice within the scope and sequence of what the purpose of the blog is. All right, so that's what we have for today. Like I said, just like a general big picture overview of blogs, we're going to start getting specific in future videos on how to blog with students. You're going to be learning about a number of topics here, including things like how you help students write posts, how you help them think about writing comments, how you manage everything, because on the surface, it seems like a lot to keep track of, but I promise you, there's a lot you can put back on the student, and it's going to work out super fine. All right, so anytime, please feel free to contact me. You can reach me at literacyteachingtips@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear questions that you have that I can address in future videos as well. So thank you.